I have not seen anything like this in my 22 years in law enforcement here in the Valley.
Police are calling this suspect the baseline rapist. Now investigators believe her death could be connected to 18 other crimes.
He is a very dangerous individual.
Did police have evidence that could have prevented 7 murders? The Baseline Killer case is considered the most high-profile crime in Arizona.
Mark Goudeau is accused of 9 murders and more than a dozen rapes and kidnappings. Did Phoenix police have the evidence to catch Goudeau before 7 of those murders?
CBS 5's Peter Bush has been working on this story for months.
Guys, in researching this story, I talked to investigators inside the Phoenix Police Department who worked on the Baseline Killer case. We interviewed the crime lab superintendent from the Department of Public Safety, and we read through hundreds of court documents and other public records.
More than 2.5 years ago, the Baseline Killer claimed his 6th murder victim, Liliana Sanchez.
She didn't deserve this.
Rose Sanchez is Liliana's cousin. For years, no one in her family knew the story about the clues that led to the arrest of Mark Goudeau, the alleged Baseline Killer. Neither did any of the millions of people in the Valley who followed the case so closely. Tonight, we're telling that story. The main piece of evidence that Phoenix police used to arrest Goudeau was a DNA sample taken after 2 sisters were raped in South Phoenix in September of 2005. Those sisters later testified and helped convict Goudeau of that specific attack. Police collected 2 swabs of evidence from the breasts of one of the women. The hope was that the DNA of the rapist could be detected on the swabs. An investigator who worked on the case told CBS 5 News that a specialist in the Phoenix Police Crime Lab did a full DNA analysis on only one of the 2 swabs, and the test did not give investigators a suspect. That same investigator said he was told by his superiors that the other swab was lost. Remember that second swab. It's going to be critical to solving this case.
We're worried about this guy being so brazen.
This surveillance camera photo was the first look the public got at the serial rapist, taken from a surveillance camera at a restaurant he robbed. This sketch soon followed, and over the next 7 months, 7 people were murdered by the man who came to be the Baseline Killer.
I don't go out at night. I won't go run to 7-Eleven or go and fill my car up with gas, which I used to go at night.
Public meetings were held. Volunteers patrolled Central Phoenix neighborhoods. The city was on edge. The 9th murder happened in June of 2006, a late-night attack outside this car wash near 28th Street in Thomas. An investigator on the case told us after that murder, Phoenix police decided to ask the Department of Public Safety, or DPS, for help. Among the evidence that Phoenix police asked DPS to test in their crime lab, those 2 swabs taken from the sexual assault more than 9 months earlier. The second swab wasn't lost after all. DPS did a DNA analysis and got a suspect name, Mark Goudeau. The evidence that broke the case, the second swab which sat in a Phoenix police crime lab and was never fully tested, while 7 more people were murdered. Billy Coleman works for the Phoenix Police Union and is not speaking on behalf of the department.
It's a sad statement, but when I confronted a commander about this, about items of evidence not tested that could have saved victims, I was told we were fortunate that we lost that evidence before we sent it out, because we would have consumed it and not had it.
Coleman wouldn't even say specifically what case he was referring to, but a Phoenix police source confirmed it was the Baseline Killer case. When asked to comment about our story, a Phoenix police spokesperson first offered up a written statement only, explaining why the department turned to DPS for help. The Phoenix Police Department laboratory followed its protocols and subsequently requested assistance from the DPS lab to use DNA technology available for analysis that our lab did not yet have. It is common for the Phoenix Police Department to request the assistance of various city and private crime labs. The DNA technology referred to in the statement is called YSTR DNA testing, a more accurate way of testing the DNA of men. The DPS lab superintendent, Todd Griffith, told us that it would have been difficult to get a suspect without that technology. But DPS had YSTR technology since April 2005, well before the rapes, robberies, and murders now linked to Goudeau ever occurred. So why didn't Phoenix police ask DPS for help sooner in the investigation, before 7 more people died?
You know, Peter, that's a great question.
As our story progressed, Phoenix police agreed to go on camera, but they still didn't answer the question.
The Phoenix Police Department's stance right now is that we don't want to jeopardize the case or the pending cases that still have to go to trial.
A couple hours later, Commander Chuck Miller called back and decided he wanted to go further and refute parts of our story.
There is so much information involved. It is just not factual just to say, hey, 7 additional homicides occurred and they could have been prevented. It's just not truthful in that light. There's just so many moving parts to this complex case, and we just don't want to take the possibility of jeopardizing that case by talking about it, so please understand that.
In the meantime, we told Rose Sanchez what we found out.
I just feel very angry. Because like you said, it could have not happened, and it did.
Right now, Mark Goudeau is appealing his conviction of those 2 sexual assaults. He's scheduled to go to trial on those murder charges next year.
And Peter, the crime lab that the Phoenix Police Department uses now, the new crime lab, it has equipment, more advanced equipment that was not available back then. Is that correct?
They moved into their new crime lab last year, the middle of last year. Now they have advanced technology, including that YSTR technology.
Wow. All right, Peter, thanks so much for that report. We appreciate it.